Headline inflation increases by 11.98% in December 2019. Finance ministers and central bank governors of the West African Monetary Union condemn renaming of the CFA francs as ECO. 7.5% VAT to be implemented from February 1. China's economic growth hits three-decade low. This is Business Express on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA, and we are reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Muplang Dakok. We begin with the latest inflation figures. The Consumer Prices Index, CPI, which measures inflation, increased by 11.98% year-on-year in December 2019. This is 0.13 percentage points higher than the rate recorded in November 2019. The percentage change in the average composite CPI for the 12 months period ending December 2019 over the average of the CPI for the previous 12 months was 11.40%, showing 0.05% from 11.35% recorded in November 2019. Finance ministers and central bank governors of the West African Monetary Union have condemned the decision by the chairman of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of the West African Economic and Monetary Union, Alassane Ouattara, to unilaterally rename the CFA francs as ECO by 2020. This made this position known in Abuja after an extraordinary meeting on the ECOWAS single currency chaired by the Minister of Economy and Finance, Federal Republic of Guinea, Namadi Camara. To discuss the economic benefits and implications on the decision of the finance ministers and central bank governors of the West African Monetary Union on the ECO, we are being joined in Lagos via Skype by an economist, Paul Alaje. It's good to see you again, Mr. Alaje, on the program.
Thanks for having me.
So just yesterday, finance ministers and central bank governors of the West African Monetary Union condemned the move to rename the CFA francs as ECO. What would you say led to that decision?
Realize that most of the Francophone economies in Africa, they are largely less than 20% of the entire West African economy. So they are looking for how to make that currency stronger, and countries are selfish in making their own better. So when you see them rename their currency ECO and expecting that that will serve as single currency for the entire sub-region, I don't think it's fair. I think the positions governors and the Minister of Economy, Minister of Finance have taken, it should be supported among those who mean well for West Africa, particularly Anglophone countries in West Africa. Anglophone countries should not be put under pressure to support currency with a lot of French influence. And I must tell you the truth, Nigeria alone owns 66% of the entire West African economy. So what is the fear for Nigeria? Nigeria is responsible for over 70% exports of the entire West Africa export. So I see no reason why one, Nigeria should be bothered, two, why Nigeria should join ECO. If there is any currency that should be used in West Africa at all, it should be Naira. It is the strongest in terms of its capacity to export, in terms of its capacity of its economy, the strongest currency should be Naira, and that is what should be used.
ECO is currently expected to take over within the year, that's this year 2020. Do you see this as being feasible given the level of preparedness of member nations?
Well, if ECO is to take charge among member countries, the question we should ask is that what will be the capacity of ECO? As I talk to you, apart from Cote d'Ivoire, who is responsible for 10%, about 9 stronger economy in West Africa, and Ghana is responsible for 4, so it becomes 4 countries. Cote d'Ivoire about 4%. All other countries have 1%, including the Nigerian Republic. They have just 1%. Even if they want to start tomorrow, the truth is that the economic influence of ECO can never match that of Naira. And Nigeria authority, I mean fiscal and monetary authority, should not make the mistake. Once you join ECO, you have sacrificed on the platter of gold our monetary power, monetary influence. We should not submit Naira without meaningful gain. We should not be put under pressure to do this. They can start at any time, but I can tell you that the currency will not have so much impact on the Nigerian economy, which is my primary constituency.
Okay, so but what do you think will become of countries like Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana in the event of this condemnation, since they have already, you know, agreed to take up the ECO?
Cote d'Ivoire is the next most influential country when it comes to contribution to export. It has 10%. Ghana has just 4%. Another country share 1%, some 0.8%. My worry is Cote d'Ivoire in this regard, because when this country comes together, the influence and the impact will take first on the economy. And after that, our very close, our very country that speaks, of course, English as we speak, which is Ghana, Ghanaian economy. And these are 2 countries that I have so much worries for. Well, I'm sure that they will go back to roundtable, and don't be surprised in the coming period if Ghana says it's not also going that line, because I'm not sure they talk through before they agree to go with ECO.
You talked about the strength of the Naira. Do you think that other countries in the region actually see the strength of the Naira you're talking about?
That Naira has been under-preached, it has been under-advertised, Naira has been under-presented, and it is by the leaders in Nigeria. We really don't know what we are worth as a people. If we know what we are worth as a people, particularly within our sub-region, the truth is, if you remove Nigeria out of West Africa, I can tell you the truth, the influence of ECOWAS, I beg your pardon, will reduce by more than 66%. You'll be talking of 1/3 of the remaining. So if truly ECOWAS wants to push among other sub-region in West Africa, what they should go for is Naira. And if they go for Naira, it's going to have positive influence on all other currencies. Of course, Nigeria will benefit a lot. And that is fair because Nigeria is also contributing a lot. It is not that those countries don't know the influence of Nigeria. The fact is that they know Nigerian economy compared to theirs is stronger, it's better. But because of the way Nigeria as an economy has handled ourselves, and Nigeria in terms of politics has presented ourselves to the rest of the African countries, that is why most people, to that extent, think that Nigeria is not organized. If Nigeria could organize itself and present itself as true leader in West Africa, the truth is most countries would prefer to align with Nigeria and in fact to use Nigerian currency.
Laje, don't you think that the strength of the ECO itself will also increase and be strengthened when the economies of the region come together and, you know, take it as the currency of the region? Don't you think it will increase in strength?
It's like comparing the knowledge of CFO with a professor of a university. It's not possible. Nigerian economy, like I mentioned you, alone, even with this economic quagmire, is 66%. The rest of West Africa is 33%. So where will the power come from? Economy is not about magic. Apart from Nigeria, and which other country has the size of export that we have? We have over 70%. The remaining put together, Cote d'Ivoire, Niger, Ghana, put the remaining together, they have 30%. Where will the strength come from? The truth is that we have no fear to know as people. We should believe in what we can do. believe in the God of Nigeria and the blessing we have. But this does not mean we should be led back in terms of economic capacity, because Nigeria is operating at below our production possibility frontier. If it operates better than what we are doing now, the truth is Nigeria should have over 90% of the entire ECOWA in terms of export and economic capacity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Paul Alaje, for coming again on the program and sharing your thoughts with us. Right. So moving on, the federal government says the implementation of the new value-added tax rate will begin on February 1, 2020. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed said this at the inauguration of the Federal Inland Revenue Service FIRS Board.
To 7.5%. This new increase will take effect from the 1st of February 2020. The bill also has made a provision for threshold. So there's a threshold of 25 million. That is to say, companies, small businesses that have turnover of under 25 million do not have to register for payment of VAT.
We, the National Assembly, are solidly behind you. We will be working with you closely and also doing everything to improve the revenue generation drive of the government vis-a-vis the Ministry of Finance and the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
President Muhammadu Buhari signed the finance bill which increased VAT by 50% into law on January 13, 2020. Meanwhile, the dollar scaled an 8-month high against the yen on Friday after upbeat U.S. retail sales and jobs data, while the yuan got a lift after China's economic data brightened the mood already cheered by a Sino-U.S. trade deal. Let's see how the Naira is exchanging for other international currencies. Public debts of the federal government, 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory as at September 2019 stood at 26.215 trillion naira. Director General of the Debt Management Office, Patience Oniha, disclosed this in Abuja at a media briefing where she disclosed plans by the federal government to issue a third sovereign sukuk to finance road projects in the country.
So we did say we will borrow, that to be not permanently. In the interim, we borrow to finance, to bridge the revenue gaps, to finance infrastructure so that jobs can be created and we can stimulate growth. So that, what I'm saying is, again, it's not ad hoc, it's deliberate.
She disclosed that borrowing plans for the year is made up of 850 billion naira external debt and 744.99 billion naira domestic debt to be raised through FGN bonds, sukuk, FGN saving bonds and possibly green bonds. And in other news, President Muhammadu Buhari has sent the name of Dr. Kingsley Ositwa Obiora to the Senate for confirmation as Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. In a letter to President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, President Buhari said the nomination is in accordance with the Central Bank of Nigeria Establishment Act 2007. Dr. Obiora, upon confirmation by the Senate, replaces Dr. Joseph Nana, who retires on February 2, 2020. Dr. Obiora holds a bachelor's degree in economics and statistics from the University of Benin, a master's in economics from the University of Ibadan, and a doctorate in monetary and international economics, also from the University of Ibadan. He is currently an alternate executive director in the International Monetary Fund in Washington, D.C., USA. Today, The market took a positive turn at the close of trade on Friday, the 17th of January 2020. The Nigerian Stock Exchange All-Share Index rose 0.91% at 29,618.52 basis points, with market capitalization at 15.2 trillion naira. 4,175 deals of 324.9 million valued at 3.5 billion naira exchange hands. UBA, Access and Zenith Bank were the most dominant stocks. MTN Nigeria Guarantee and Stanbic topped the gainers, while Unilever, WAPCO and UBA led the decliners. And to take a look at the performance of the capital market in 2019 and prospects for 2020 is Kola Oyedokun. Thank you so much for coming on Business Express today.
It's my pleasure. Good afternoon.
Okay. So let's talk about the performance of the stock market for the end of the year 2019. It was mostly bearish towards the end of the year. What would you attribute that to?
Well, there are several factors that attributed to the about 14.6% loss for the year 2019. Number one, you know, the investment is based on risk and returns. You know, the equity market is riskier than the fixed income market, but the return there is lower. So people prefer to go to where their money are saved. But towards the end of the year, you found out that CBN rolled out some measures that made interest rates to come down, as in fixed income returns. So that was the main reason why we are witnessing, you know, upbeat in the capital market now. But for last year, one, the risk-free rate of return was higher than the market performance. Then you find out that during the year too, or the advanced countries, especially the US, increased their interest rate, Fed. And you know, when the interest rate is higher there, they prefer to, you know, invest in their economy rather than coming to the underdeveloped economy.
Okay. So the bulls came back again in 2020. We saw that for most part of the beginning of this year so far, 2020, the bulls took center stage. For instance, the biggest daily gain in 7 months was recorded within this period we're talking about.
Yeah, I think that was a
gained up to 3.5%.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a 3.5% increase in one day.
So what is happening? The bears took over. They are now the bulls.
Yeah, I think as of today, the Ocean Index has increased by about 10.something%, because today it's close at 0.72%. You understand? The week to date, because find out that even this week the market lost for 2 days, but despite that, the market still closed positively from 9.something% last week to about 0.72% this week, making 10.7% return in these past 2 weeks alone, which is about 2 times what you can get from fixed income securities in 2 years.
How are investors taking that?
If you look at the turnover on daily basis by volume and value and the number of deals, you see that they have been coming up. And then I think we have seen the re-entrance of the foreign investors in the market, and some local investors, their net worth individuals and you know, investment organizations too, they are still coming back to really benefit from the increase.
Okay. So
the equity market.
Despite all this, we see low. It seems to be a low interest regime.
Yeah.
So how is it impacting the equities market?
That's what I say. That's the main reason that the market is bullish for the last 2 weeks in this year.
Okay, because of the low.
Because of the low interest rates.
Okay.
You know, I say risk and return. You understand? The return in the equity market is higher than what they can get from the risk-free, or let me say fixed income securities. Understand? I think before last year, the TB went as high as about 12-14%, but now you can see it about 6-7%. So, and if you say, just say that the market gained 3.54% in 1 day, so that means within 3 days they can get what they would have gotten in the fixed income securities for 1 year. So people are coming in, and there's some people have taken profit. And you see that even though the ocean index was negative in last year, you see that the market cap really went up.
Yes.
Because there was some major listing, like the telephone giants, MTN, the Airtel, and even Sako, that is not in the telecommunication industry, came to the market, and the market capitalization increased very well for that year. Though the ocean index came down, but the market cap went up.
Okay. What would you say is the expected trajectory for the market in, say, the first quarter, at the end of the first quarter of this year, and even for the rest of the year? Do you see this positive trajectory being sustained?
Yeah, I should think so, because even last week, some people entertained fear that what happened in the first two months last year may repeat itself. If you look at last year, I think on February, the market gained the highest. But as from February, the thing started declining to a negative at the end of the year. But this year, because of the low interest regime, and it's like the policy that the government is putting in place now is economic friendly. You know, if you look at the recent finance bill, you see that it will improve the economic performance, and when the economic performance is increasing, the capital market will also increase. Like they say, the capital market is the barometer for measuring economic performance. So when the economy is doing well, the capital market will also do very well.
Okay.
So we hope to see that going forward, things will be better. But I will not say that before the end of the year, we will not experience some losses.
We've been speaking with Kola Oyedokun, a stockbroker. Thank you so much for coming again on Business
Thank
Express.
you for having me.
All right. Next is Global Markets with Bosede Ebo.
European stocks advanced in early trading of Friday, 17th January, after China's gross domestic product (GDP) numbers grew in line with expectations, lifting global markets. The FTSE 100 was up by 0.51%, DAX 0.77%, and CAC 40 0.88%. In Asia, market rose in response to the figures, with Hang Seng Index adding 0.6% to lead gains, then Nikkei 0.45%, while Shanghai traded flat to close at 3,075.5. U.S. stock index futures were slightly higher as investors digest growth data out of China. Dow Jones appreciated at 0.92%, S&P 500 added 0.84%, and Nasdaq 1.06%. In Africa, the bourses were mostly green. South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 was up at 0.76%, Namibia's overall index 0.28%, Tunisia's Tunidex 0.11%, Ghana's GSE Composite 0.6%, while Nairobi's all share was down at 0.1%.
Thank you, Bosede. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Business Express. Don't forget you can access all previous episodes on YouTube, and you can communicate with us on Twitter. The handle is @NTA Newsnow. The hashtag is BizX. We value your feedback, so join us again on Monday for another package. I am Muplang Dakok, and as usual, I say keep thinking and doing business.